This past weekend, like so many others, my wife and I went out Black Friday shopping. And we're out at midnight and 1 a.m. on Thursday night, shopping those deals, buying Christmas presents for our kids and people in our family and doing all that in the middle of the night, because I guess that's what you do after you're grateful and thankful. You go spend money. You go shop, shop till you drop. And I kind of believe that we did that. I mean, it's 4 days later, and I feel like I'm still recovering from the lack of sleep. But we did it, and it was exciting. It was fun. But every year, I always just think it's funny that first we celebrate the things that we're thankful for, and then we go out and buy more stuff. Like, that's what we do. That's what Western culture is what we do in America. We sit around a table, we celebrate Thanksgiving, that we're thankful for what we have, and then we go out and buy stuff because we need more stuff, apparently, because maybe what we were thankful for wasn't quite enough. And I just think it's kind of funny those things are coupled together. Not that there's anything wrong with shopping. There's nothing wrong with being out there and buying things. There's nothing wrong with that. But there is something wrong whenever purchasing new things kind of becomes this escape from our current circumstances. Whenever if there's this internal desire that's driving us to get more and more because we somehow think that we're going to get fulfillment and satisfaction from all these things that we purchase and these materials that we buy. See, the writer of Hebrews, in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5, he says, "Keep your lives free from the love of money. Be content with what you have, for God has said, I will never leave you and I will never forsake you." Now, for years, being content with what I had was an issue for me. I mean, it was an issue for me. I wanted a bigger house or a bigger car or better clothes or a better computer or a better phone, and I had this desire to kind of get the newest, the latest, and the greatest. And really, it was a couple years long journey that my wife and I both went through, and we talk about it often, this journey we went through towards contentment, because we realized we simply just weren't content with what we had. There's nothing wrong with working hard and enjoying the fruits of your labor, but there is something wrong whenever we're not content with what we have. I mean, Paul talks about that he had learned the art of contentment. Whether he had much or he had little, he was still content. And the writer of Hebrews says, here's where your contentment comes from. He says, be content with what you have because God has said. It took me many years to kind of sort those things out in my life. And my contentment doesn't come from what I have or don't have. My contentment comes from the fact that God will never leave me and he will never forsake me. That God is always with me. We live in a town here in Trussville, and there's a few cemeteries around, and it's new for us. We hadn't lived in a town where we drove by as many cemeteries as we do kind of on a daily basis. And every time I drive by that cemetery and I think about my life here on this earth, that one day my body's going to end up in one of those places. My body's going to end up in one of those cemeteries. So what do I want to do with my life while I'm here on earth? I know one thing I don't want to do. I don't want to focus on getting more and more materials and stuff that's going to fade away. I do want to accumulate things, but what I want to accumulate is relationships with people. What I want to accumulate is souls that enter into eternity with me. What I want to accumulate is love and grace from God. But it took me a long time to get there, and I still struggle with it. I mean, there's still times where I sit down and I flip through Amazon on my phone and there's something that I just want. I don't need it. The one that I have works perfectly fine, but I just have the desire. I want it. I just desire it. I just want the newest. I want the best. I want that new phone or that new computer or that new shirt or pants or whatever it may be, or mine's shoes. And my wife can attest to that. I have way too many shoes to be considered, like a manly closet. There's way too many shoes in there for that. So I can still struggle with it. But each time I struggle with it, I'm thankful that there's a reminder in Scripture. My contentment doesn't lie in my things, doesn't lie in my stuff. My contentment should be rooted in God. And really, the only place it can be rooted is God. If it's rooted in anything else, it's not contentment because it's going to fade. It's not going to last. But if it's rooted in God, that he is with me, he will never leave me, he will never forsake me, then it will stand the test of time. Whether I have much or I have little, I can be content because I have God. C.S. Lewis said it this way. He said, the man who has Jesus plus everything has no more than the man who just has Jesus. See, if we have Jesus, we have everything that we need. Now, if you're not a Jesus follower and you don't have him in your life yet, you haven't chosen to follow him yet, you can do that at any point in time. You don't have to be in a church service. You don't have to be in some gathering of other people who are following Jesus. Wherever you are, whenever you decide to make that decision, you can make that decision that you're going to place Jesus in your life and you're going to choose to follow him. And if you do that, the promises of Scripture become true for you. God will never leave you. He will never forsake you. So whether you have much or you have little, you can be content. What is it in your life that's maybe stopping you from being content with what you have? There's nothing wrong with working hard and enjoying the fruits of our labor. But be careful not to let the love of money or even the pursuit of more stuff get in the way of a godly contentment and satisfaction with what we have. Which is what? What do we have? We have Jesus. We have Jesus.